Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to continue working on Activity 2.2, solving absolute value equations. The two equations you wrote can be represented by the linear absolute value equation. The absolute value of W minus 145.045 and absolute is equal to 3.295 to solve any absolute value equation. Recall the definition of absolute value. So they're talking about up here where we made the equation to find the weight of baseballs. So it says work example. Consider the linear absolute value equation. Absolute value A is equal to 6. There are 2 points that are 6 units away from 0 on the number line. One is to the right of 0 and one is to the left of 0. So they have positive A is equal to 6 and negative A is equal to 6. Or A is 6 or A is equal to negative 6. Now consider the case where A equals x minus 1. Absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 6. If you know that absolute value of A is equal to 6, can be written as two separate equations. You can rewrite any absolute value equation as positive A is equal to 6 or negative A is equal to 6. And because we know x minus 1 is A, we just substitute it in. X minus 1 is equal to 6 or negative x minus 1 is equal to 6. How do you know the expressions in 1a and 2a represent opposite distance? So 1a and 2a. So we're talking about these up here. So what we can say is this, that when we add positive parenthesis a and negative parenthesis a, we get 0. So when we add those together, that comes out to be 0, we are good. If it does not, then we are an issue. Okay. So Martina and Bob continued to solve linear absolute value equation x minus 1. Absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 6 in different ways. Compare their strategies, then determine the solution to the equation. So Martina takes it as parentheses x minus 1 is equal to 6 or x minus 1 is equal to negative 6. So we can say and we got that, and then we got Bob is just x minus 1 is equal to 6 or negative x plus 1 is equal to 6. So Martina, we could just say divided both sides by of second equation by negative 1. That's how she got that there instead of putting the negative right there. And Bob distributed the negative 1. So if we do the math on here, so let's look at Bob's. We add 1 on each side. X is equal to 7. And if we minus 1 on each side, we got negative x is equal to 5 divided by negative 1 because it's technically a 1 in front of the x. It gives you x is equal to negative 5. Solve each linear absolute value equation. Show your work. Okay, so for this one, we're going to look at 3a. So we know this, okay? So if we look at this, we end up changing it to be x plus 7 is equal to 3. We minus 7 on each side. X is equal to negative 4. That's one answer. Now if we do the inverse, so it'd be negative x plus 7, so we minus 7 on each side, leaves us negative x. Oops, I'm sorry, it would just be negative on the one. It would leave us as x is equal to negative 10. So both of these are our answers to this one. We look at this one. We add 9 on each side. X is equal to 21. And if we do the opposite, we add 9 on each side. X is left at negative 3. Once again, these two are both correct answers. C, let's go this way. We minus 7 on each side. 3x is equal to, that'd be negative 15 divided by 3. X is equal to negative 5. For some reason though, they're saying there's no solutions. Let's check and see. So now if we plug the negative 5 in, gives us negative 15 plus 7. Oh, that's why. Because if we look at this, so once we plug that x in, so now negative 15 plus 7 gives us negative 8. The absolute value gives us positive 8, does not equal negative 8. So this one does not work. That's why you have to test it and plug back in. So like if I went back here and I plugged in, say, negative 3 minus 9, that gives us negative 12. But the absolute value of that is 12 then, where that works. Where here it does not work then. Alright, so if we look at D, we minus 3 on each side. 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide by 2 gives us as x is equal to negative 3 over 2. So let's try that. So 2 times negative 3 over 2 plus 3. And if we go in our calculator, so I said 2 times I forgot the negative. Negative 3 over 2. We hit enter. Gives us negative 3. So negative 3 plus 3 just gives us 0. And that works. So that is our answer. There is no second answer because this part here is 0. Alright, I'm going to do just a couple more. Probably finish this page off for A and B, and then we'll call it a day. Artie, Donald, Cho, and Steve each solve the equation x, absolute value x minus 4 is equal to 5. Explain how Cho and Steve incorrectly rewrote the absolute value equation as two separate equations. Okay, so we got to look at Cho and Steve. Okay, is the first one we're going to look at. So Cho wrote it as absolute value of x minus 4 is equal to 5. He did parenthesis x minus 4 is equal to 5. X minus 4 is equal to 5. You add the 4 on each side. Gives you 9. So he did that. And then he rewrote over here negative bracket parentheses x minus 4. So he distributed it in then. He minus 4 on each side. and they divide by x. So for Cho, we're going to say this. I'm going to write Cho applied, because this is what he did wrong, incorrectly. Applied, I'm going to put negative to the -4. So we apply the negative sign to -4 in second equation. And for Steve, let's look at him. So he did the first part correct. We look at the second one, -x minus 4 equals -5. -x minus 4 is equal to -5. Then he added the 4 on each side. And then divide by -x, or -1 on each side to make it a x equal to +1. So we're going to look at Steve, and we're going to say applied second negative symbol to -5. And then last but not least, Artie and Donald. Artie looks to have done it correctly, and so has Donald, but Donald has just done a little different. Okay? So explain the different uses of strategies. So Artie, I'm going to put Artie right here and Donald right there. So Artie applied positive and negative signs to the expression inside I'm just going to put big parentheses like this for absolute value. Save some room. And solved. Where Donald isolated I'm going to put the absolute value sign again. I'm just going to put X in there so you know. Absolute value before applying positive and negative signs. Okay, so just a different way to do it. That's all that is. Alright, that's where we're going to stop today. Tomorrow we'll continue on this. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.